Hey friends, welcome back to the channel with another movie reaction. Today we are watching Tenet, the new Christopher Nolan film, and I believe it was the first big film to hit theaters during the pandemic. I was about to say after the pandemic, but we are currently in the pandemic. Stay safe, everybody. And yeah, we've had a bit of a movie drought because of delays due to the virus, and so it's nice to finally get this big movie that was supposed to come out months and months ago. Excited to check it out. If you guys want to watch the full reaction, you can check out Patreon in the link in the description below. Otherwise, take a quick moment to leave a like. It really helps out the channel, and let's get started. So, this film felt stunning and really intriguing at times, and then at other times felt like it was kind of just treading water. It felt like Christopher Nolan had one very compelling concept and one very compelling narrative, and then just threw everything else together around them. The concept obviously being inversion and the way it's executed to create twists. And I really like the forming pincer attacks from the present and the future. That's really fun to watch unfold. And the interesting narrative is with Kat. And at the end of the day, we don't really know too much about who she is as a person, what her personality's like. But you empathize with her so much because of the situation she's in and what she's had to go through. Because Sator is just cartoonishly evil. There's not a single redeeming quality about him, just a horrible human being. At some point, he got Kat to marry him and had a kid with her, but, I mean, he won't let her leave. If I can't have you, no one can, which is just super disgusting and abusive behavior. And he applies that same mindset to the world as he's dying. Literally does not have empathy for a single other human being, even his son. He doesn't care that he's killing off everybody else in the world because he doesn't want to be left out of it. I mean, the only thing he has interest in with his son is using it to blackmail his wife. Huge shame that these are the kinds of people who are able to attain power and wealth in this world. And by this world, I mean both the movie and real life. But yeah, inversion and Kat really made the film work. The soundtrack was also really good. The cinematography on point as well. And I think the rest of the film, I would say, is mostly average. In terms of acting, Elizabeth Debicki's acting is great, but I don't know that the other actors and actresses really had room to flex their acting skills. Their acting wasn't bad by any particular measure, but it didn't pull me out of the film or anything. But yeah, it just felt like it was just there in the background, not really a point where I'd be like, oh, they deserve Best Actor or Best Supporting Actors or anything like that. I mean, the protagonist doesn't even have a name by the end of the film, which I don't know the last time I've watched a film and not known the main character's name throughout the entire film. The side characters weren't too interesting to me. There's Priya, which, surprise, she's the weapons dealer, not her husband. It's like, yay, feminism. It's the woman who's the weapons dealer and responsible for the death of tons of innocent lives. Yay, feminism. And we had Ives. The whole scene where, at the end, where Ives, Neil, and the protagonist break up the algorithm and go their separate ways is just... I don't know. It didn't land for me. Like, we saw Ives around throughout the film, but I didn't care about him as a character enough for him to be there at this ending of the film. And I was just like, what are you even doing in the scene? I don't care about you. And yeah, it just felt like some of these side characters were not as well developed. I did like Neil's I think of Neil as a main character, and I did like his story and quite a bit, though. He was friends with the protagonist in the future, and their friendship ends at the end of the film, which is the beginning. It's the beginning of the protagonist's relationship with him in a different sense. I don't know. It's a little mind-boggling, and it's a little fun to dissect. It reminded me a little of Avatar: The Last Airbender and how friendships can transcend lifetimes, or even of Watchmen, knowing what's going to happen in your future and having it affect the way you're living in the present. But yeah, it's a sweet moment between Neil and the protagonist, but also sad because Neil knew where he was headed, off to sacrifice himself to save the protagonist before the protagonist can even start becoming his friend. And it's actually super sad also to think about that after the protagonist becomes friends with Neil in the future, he's going to have to send him back into the past to get himself killed, which just sucks. Because he saves you, sacrifices him for you, then you become friends with him, then you send him back to die to save past you. That It's really, it pulls at the heartstrings a bit. I mean, but we don't actually even see most of that happen. We don't see the friendship building, only the end of it. So it's a really cool concept, but we don't. I would argue that if we got to see more of it, even if it was like flashbacks or flash forwards rather, I feel like we would be more emotionally invested, and that would have really helped. But I mean, this movie's pretty long already. The rest of the ending was interesting too. The dread that must have filled Kat as she had to go back to Seder and pretend to still care about him on some level, pretend to be the past Kat. I did not envy her at all in that situation. Really lucked out that the protagonist was able to figure things out right before she killed him. That was really, really close. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I did think the twist of the protagonist being the one to start the whole thing from the future has either been done before or was more or less just very predictable, but that's neither here or there. I think one of the highlights of the film, of course, was watching the fights with inversion. It was very entertaining. The first time the protagonist and Neil are fighting in that secure storage facility, and he had to fight that inverted guy, inverted version of himself. Really, really interesting to watch because you've just never really seen anything like it. You've seen things rewound, but I don't think I've ever seen something like a scene where some actors or some people are going forward in time and the others are going backwards. That's very, 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 very interesting concept and very interesting to watch unfold. And because we've never seen anything like that, there's a unique sense of danger because while you intellectually understand the rules of inversion, fighting something in practice is a whole other thing entirely. And I don't know how difficult it was logistically to shoot a scene like that, but it was just very fun to watch. And then later on in the film, when we're on the other side of it, we realize there was no danger to the protagonist in the past because the protagonist wasn't trying to kill him in that scene. He's just defending himself, which is not the feeling you get at all the first time, which, I mean, this is really cool to see from a different perspective. And then Neil realizing he's fighting the uninverted version of the protagonist from the future, stopping his protagonist from killing the inverted version of the future protagonist. Oh, my brain's starting to hurt. That was cool though. Just a nice moment. Just protecting his bestie on so many levels wherever he can. And one of the most, I think probably the most beautiful part of the film is Kat said early on to the protagonist that she saw a woman. She assumed it was one of Seder's mistresses dive off the boat as she came back, and she wished that she could have been as free as that woman there. And the thing is, after she kills Seder, she realizes that she is the one she saw dive off the boat, and that jealousy, that envy of being free, it comes full circle because she has set herself free as she dives in. It's just so well done. Ah, man, there's poetry in that ending for her. She did need help from the protagonist one last time to keep her safe from Priya. Nice little moment of flipping the tables there because Priya was always the one in charge and more in the know, and there's this role reversal there at the end that works well. I think I would wind up giving this movie an 8.25 out of 10, though. Like I said, the strength of the inversion and how it's used throughout the film, as well as Kat's plight, are enough to make the movie work. So it's a good enough movie. It's a good movie, but I don't know that I'll remember much else about the film when I look back on it in the future. Actually, that's not true. The cheese grater, the freaking cheese grater. Oh my God. I think that technically counts as skinning the guy alive. But yeah, that was something else entirely. Definitely not my favorite Christopher Nolan film. And I'll admit I went in with the heightened expectations after seeing Inception and Interstellar. I've seen the Batman films, 2 of the Batman films, but that was a long time ago. But overall, it was a good time and definitely something I would recommend. When I'm vaccinated and theaters open up again, I'll go see it in IMAX 70mm film or something. And since I haven't done that before, but yeah, overall, I think it's a good film and it's an entertaining film. It just doesn't meet the expectations that have been set by past Christopher Nolan films. It is a nice way to get back into movies, though. We haven't had too many new ones come out in theaters and then to streaming services or Blu-ray or etc. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the reaction. Hopefully you enjoyed the movie. And yeah, leave a like. Really, really helps out the channel. And if you want to watch the full reaction, you can check out Patreon in the link in the description below. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, friends.